and Dogs assignment, you will contribute to a project for a pet rescue where we have cats and dogs being intaken and being adopted out. The main form has already been created for you by the senior developer, and it lists each of the animals in the Pet Rescue Association by type, pet name, gender, breed, and age. And they're in columns that are spaced by the number of characters. There is also a panel at the bottom of the list box. You can click on any one of the animals and see the details for that animal. There is a menu, and one of the menu items is to add either a cat or a dog, and there will be a panel that pops up for cat intake and one for dog intake with the information we provided, and then submitted and added to our data. The data is a text file, and so we'll want to read that text file in. We'll also want to make sure that text file is being persistent from session to session. Now, as I said, the form's already been created for you, and we can see the instructions here. I provide a starting project for you that you can download, and it contains the Form 1 and its code, as well as a pet class. Pet class contains the common data between cats and dogs, such as the pet's name, their gender, their birth date. And here is the UML diagram of that pet class. Your job is to create a cat class that inherits from pet, in which we're going to add in the breed for the cat, whether it's litter box trained, and whether it's declawed or not. And those last two are Booleans. And a dog class, again containing the breed, whether it's housebroken or not, and whether it knows basic commands. Again, those last two are Booleans. Do not change the Form 1, and do not change the pet class. And then in testing, we want to make sure that we can retrieve the pets from the data file, and the data file is provided for you in Canvas. It's pets.txt. That we see the details in the list box. We can add a cat, we can add a dog, and the data is being persistent from session to session. The info listing string for both the dog and the cat is going to create that column for us of the pet information with the word either cat or dog preceding that listing. In Canvas is the starting project for Visual Studio, in which the form has been created and all of the coding for the form has been done, and also the pet parent class has been created. Let's take a quick look at those. And so your job then is going to be to create the dog and the cat class. So when you open this, you're going to get some errors because the cat and the dog classes are referenced in the code for Form 1, but those don't exist. So just ignore those errors for now. As you build out those cat and dog classes, those errors are going to go away. So looking at our form, we have a couple panels here. This is the P&L add dog form panel. I'm going to move it out of the way. And there's also one for the cat, which is the P&L add cat panel. Move it out of the way. We have a list box named LST Pets, and then we have a form here that is, I didn't name it, it's just called Panel 7 in my version here, but it has a bunch of fields to display the details for each pet. The pet's name, their age, their gender, breed, are they good with dogs, cats, kids. For the dog, are they housebroken, and are they good with cats? And then for the cats, this will be either litter box trained, and are they good with dogs? So this image here that comes up for the cat, the silhouette, or the dog, this is a label, and there is a animal logos collection that has the cat logo and the dog logo. And then there's open file dialogues and save file dialogues that are also referenced in our code. There's also a menu up here, so under the menu, open data file, save data file, and exit. For add new cat, add new dog. And display, we can display all the animals, cats only or dogs only. So I'm going to go to the open data file. We'll jump into our code. And so there's quite a bit of code here that's been created for us, but we're using system.io. Got some class level variables here. So there's a array of objects named pets, and that then can also include the pets that are either of the dog class or the cat class, since they are inherited. We're also keeping track of integers for our list display. Those can help us track the numbers that are displayed in the list. We initialize the form. Here are the code to display a new cat and a new dog panel, as well as to clear those panels and close those panels. So we're referencing these methods within other methods. Here's our btn to submit new cat. We're going to check and make sure that they've added all the data that should be there. And so here's where you see there's a little squiggly under new cat because that does not exist yet. And that's where your work will come into play and fix that problem. Same thing for the new dog. Make sure that they've added all the stuff that they need, and again, it's going to call it the dog class. We have code here to list out the pets, and we're going to look at what the type is. Is it type cat or type dog? And we'll get the details. This is the code to save our file. So we're writing the text back out to the file as a text file. We'll determine if it's a cat or a dog, and we'll write the appropriate information out to that text file. This is the code to retrieve the data from the data file and populate our list box, as well as our object array. And here's the menu references that call the show all pets, show cats, and show dogs. Method to clear the cat panel, clear the dog panel, clear all the details. That's that brown panel we had in the bottom below the list box. Get the cat details to populate that brown panel with the cat details, and populate the dog details if they choose a dog in the list box. This one color codes some of the text boxes, particularly if they're good with cats, good with dogs. If they're good, we'll have a light green. If they're not, light pink. If we don't know, it'll be light gray. So visually, there's some clues there in terms of the responses for each of these animals. This shows all the pets in the list box. This one shows all the cats. And this one shows all the dogs. So that's the code. You can see there's a bunch of errors here. In fact, there are 28 errors right now because we don't have the dog class and the cat class. So I'm going to jump over to the pet class. So in the pet class, we have a class pet. Here are our class level fields for pet name, gender, date of birth, good dogs, good with cats, and good with kids. Our constructor, populating those fields. A second constructor, we're providing a string for the gender rather than a Boolean of true, false. For the gender, true is female, false is male. Properties, to be able to get the pet name, the gender, the date, time. So these are simply, rather than using the properties up here in the fields, where we can generate those automatically, this is how we can generate properties for each of the getters and setters that are fronting our fields. So good with dogs. So much longer way of doing this rather than just writing properties. Just want to show there's another way of doing this. So feel free to use the properties in your inherited classes, or you can do it this way. And then we have one method of getting the age, where we're going to basically do some math on the date of birth and today to tell us how old is this animal. So your job now is to create a class for the dog and create a class for the cat that inherits from pet and adds in the appropriate fields and methods as discussed in the instructions and the UML diagrams. I suggest you pause the program here. I suggest you pause the video here and then come back and watch the rest of my code review of my solution if you have problems or you just want to compare. Let's add the cat class and the dog class. So in the Solution Explorer, I'm going to click on my solution and come down here and say Add Class. And my first class will be named Cat. It's going to create the stub for me with the namespace of my project. I'm going to go ahead and add the dog one while I'm here. So we'll go to Add Class, and this one will be Dog. And we want these to inherit from the pet class. And I'll do the same thing for the cat. Rather than watch me type in all my code, I'm going to stop recording here, do my magic, and then we'll pick this back up with my code. Here's my cat class inheriting from pet, and I use the properties here for breed, litter box, trained, and declawed with the setters and getters built in, so they'll be backing fields or lowercase. My constructor, I'm going to get the items that are coming from our pet class, but then also add in the breed, whether the litter box trained, and whether the declawed. And I use variables here of BR, LB, and DC. But we want to pass the pet name, its gender, its birth, whether it's good with dogs, cats, and kids, to the base class. So we're going to pass that there. And then I want to make sure I set the properties for breed, litter box, and declawed based on the values that were provided. Here's my method for the info listing. I'm going to use columns here set up with the string format. I'm going to return string format SF. And we're going to put in the word cat, the pet name, the gender, the breed, and then we're going to get the age, which is going to come from our pet class. Now I did this with properties. Let me show you really quickly how you could do this with the way the pet class was done with fields and properties declared beyond those fields. So simply another way of doing it with just fields, breed, litter box, declawed. Notice the lowercase. The constructor is going to be the same, but then for properties, I have public string breed, where we're going to do the get and the set and returning and setting the value to breed. Same thing with the litter box, same thing with declawed. Both methods will work, but I think this is a little bit cleaner and a little less typing. Let's take a look at the dog. So the dog's pretty much done the same way. We have our properties for breed, housebroken, and basic commands. Our constructor, which again we're going to put in breed, housebroken, and basic commands, setting those properties, but passing the pet name, the gender, the birth, whether they go with dogs, cats, and kids, to our base class of pet. Our method, again the info listing using a formatted string. We're going to put the word dog, the pet name, the gender, the breed, and get the age from the pet class. Let me run the application, make sure everything works. Go to File, Open Data File, bring in our pets.txt. There are the pets in the data file. If I click on a cat, I can see the name of the cat, how old the cat is, what type of cat it is, the breed. Is it good with dogs, cats, kids, how litter box trained, and declawed. And we color code these based on that information, whether we know it, whether it's yes or no or unknown. Same thing with a dog. Tilly's 9 years old, a female boxer, good with dogs, unknown with cats, good with kids, housebroken, knows basic commands. Let's add in a new cat. So we'll add in Jasper. Jasper is a male. Let's capitalize the J for Jasper. Jasper is a Russian blue. And Jasper was born in 2014, November 14th. Good with dogs, good with cats, unknown with kids, litter box trained, and is declawed. We'll submit, and there's Jasper added to our list. Let's also add a dog. Currently, my dog is Serenity Grace. Female. Serenity is a Rottweiler. And Serenity was born in 2015, March 9th. Good with dogs, good with cats, good with kids, housebroken, and knows basic commands. Submit. So Serenity now has been added to the list. Under the display, I can choose to look at only the cats, look at only the dogs, or display all. Now I didn't set this up to automatically save, so we want to go to the File menu and choose Save Data File. We could choose to have a second data file or use this one. I'm just going to reuse it. Click Save. Yes, I want to replace it. And let's make sure that that worked. So I'm going to close my application, come back in and start it. Open the data file, choose Pets, and Jasper and Serenity Grace are now part of that data file. Everything seems to work. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the C# Xamarin Programming Cohort playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos that I create, you can click my picture up in the top right and subscribe to the channel.